Ciao everyone and welcome back to another song analysis. As I said, there was a choice, a poll ongoing this week concerning if you wanted to keep going with Sanremo Music Festival songs or if you wanted to take a summer break for August. So instead of keep going with the songs of Sanremo Music Festival 2026, to take a break and analyze the summer songs 2026, or at least some of them, because of course, if there is something that we are not lacking in Italy every summer, it's summer songs, always full. So of course I'm going to do a selection. If you have more that you would like to see analyzed, just let me know in the comments. As usual, I'm going to add them to the list of the to analyze songs. So why are we taking a summer break? Because in the poll won overwhelmingly, one might say, these options. So to take a break, to take a summer break and analyze some summer songs, or as we like to call them, also tormentoni estivi. Last year we didn't do it, I think. Anyway, so it's going to be 5 songs because for the 5 Sundays we have in August. And the first one, I decided to pick Canzone Estiva by Annalisa. Why? Because it is going hard this summer, but also because of the title itself. And in fact, Canzone Estiva means summer song. Is it a summer song, however? We'll see. So, first of all, the translation, as I said, is exactly summer song. And it is a single, but it is also part of the album Ma io sono fuoco, but I am fire. And you might think, well, this is weird because I think I already heard of it. Well, if you watch the videos of this channel, chances are, because it's not the first we are analyzing from this album. And in fact, Piazza San Marco, and I think I also analyzed Maschio, are all songs by Annalisa from this album. And to be fair, if you want more analysis from this album, I am going to be happy. I'll be happy to do them because I actually really like this album. So let me know in the comments as usual. But specifically, this song, what it is about summer, about sea, because we already analyzed some summer songs and there are some tropes that we find in Italian summer songs. The sea, the love, the summer adventures, being young, having fun, and so on, like summer experiences. This, however, despite being called the Canzone Estiva, it is not really a Canzone Estiva. We don't have the classical tropes from the Tormentoni Estivi. So what it is about, because I also have tea since this song generated drama when it came out. So, mainly because of the video. Canzone Estiva addresses the theme of the rigid labels and double standards imposed on women by society through the lens of a troubled relationship. Because through the whole album, troubled relationships are used to convey issues in our society, hitting mainly on, like, affecting mainly women. And in fact, we already saw it in Maschio and Piazza San Marco. By contrasting extreme modesty with shameless provocation, to opposite archetypes she and many women have been subjected to, she critiques a hypocritical society that expects women to be dutiful in public yet uninhibited in private. Rather than adopt a victim mentality, Annalisa employs this deliberate exaggeration to reject external judgment, assert her creative autonomy, and encourage women to embrace their true identity free from societal expectations. All of these things are, I'm not inventing them, these are all things she said in an interview she had with Corriere della Sera that I am leaving as usual in the sources of the video here in the description. But what is in practice this description. So what are the lyrics? How are the lyrics conveying the points I just mentioned? Well, let's find out. It is classic pop song. For that, it is quite danceable, quite singable. We have the classic pop song structure: verse, pre-chorus, chorus, post-chorus, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, post-chorus, bridge, chorus, post-chorus. So from this point of view, is very classic. And we have the first verse, quite brief, if I might add. Quando Venere è in Leone non si può parlare. So di cose che tu non potresti mai capire. Quando vado giù nel pensiero più malato e inutile, abbiamo perso il filo. When Venus is in Leo, talking is not an option. I know things you could never understand. When I sink into the sickest, most useless thoughts, we've lost the thread. So, first line, Venus in Leo. Guys, I am not an astrology girl, so I had to look it up, and I hope it's correct because astrology is not my forte. So, what does it mean when Venus is in Leo? According to the sources I found on the internet, Venus in Leo is an astrological position that expresses a passionate, theatrical, and generous love, where feelings are experienced with intensity and the need to be admired is central. I think it works because in this case, this troubled relationship focuses a lot on the fact that this love is very passionate, very, very carnal, okay? And there is a bit of an issue with egocentrism from the other side, okay? So that's why I think it matches the meaning of the song. So I think this interpretation is correct. But again, I'm not an expert in astrology. So if you are passionate about astrology, let me know about the nuances of when Venus is in Leo. That said, those who have this placement, allegedly again, in their birth chart or experience its transit seek grandiose, luxurious and authentic relationships, detesting mediocrity and half measures. So again, it matches because here the relationship is troubled because it is very superficial. And in fact, this first verse closes with abbiamo perso il filo. We've lost the thread. But what does it mean in Italian? Perdere il filo, because perdere il filo is an idiomatic expression. Literally, it means losing the thread. It is implied very often perdere il filo del discorso, so to lose the thread of the discussion, but generally perdere il filo means to no longer follow the logical flow of a discussion, line of reasoning, to become confused. So you can't think anymore, you lose your focus and you get confused. So one of the key words describing this relationship is confused, is to be confused, okay? It's confusion. It is not a clear and healthy relationship. And you might think, but Silvia, but why perdere il filo? Like, why losing the thread? Now, I'm not sure about it. There are two main interpretations, two main etymologies, if you will. So, the expression documented since the late 18th century, so it's quite, not the most recent, let's put it like that, might stem from one of these two sources. There are two main interpretations of the source, of the origin of this idiomatic expression. So, the first one refers to Greek mythology. It might relate to the myth of Theseus. I never remember how the heroes are called in English for the ancient Greek myths, but whatever. And Arianna. Again, I don't know how Arianna is called in English, whatever. Thread, which enabled the hero to navigate the Minotaur's labyrinth. Thus, losing the thread meant no longer finding the way out or losing the sense of one's action, so like getting lost, okay? Theseus without the thread given to him by Arianna, of course, wouldn't have been able to escape the labyrinth. So without the thread, you are lost. However, there is another probable, maybe allegedly origin, and it is related to weaving. Okay. It might allude to carpet making, where losing the right thread meant having to start the work over from scratch due to the precision required. So again, probably due to the Greek mythology, probably due to making carpets. We're not sure, but when you lose the thread, you are confused, you are lost. And then we have the pre-chorus. Sei nel mio sogno erotico, sto bruciando tra le fiamme roventi. Pensiero non cattolico, non ti offendi? You are in my erotic dream. I am burning in scorching flames. A non-Catholic thought. You don't get offended, right? So here, when she says non ti offendi, I think the tone is more like a rhetorical question. That's why I translated it as you don't get offended, right? However, it might be also a statement because, as I said several times in Italian, we don't have the different syntax to tell apart a question from a statement. So it might be non ti offendi, so you don't get offended, might be a question. Don't you get offended, or like you don't get offended, right? So more rhetorical. I think it's more rhetorical, but again, this is how it feels to me. And here we have something related to the representation in the video, because in the video Annalisa is wearing a half makeup, half costume, we could put it like that, because it is, I don't remember exactly how it is called, when you have half of your outfit on one side and half of another outfit on the other side. So in her case, it is related to the core line of the song we are going to see later. But here there is this contrast of non-Catholic erotic thoughts, because of course, as you might know, we have this influence on the Italian culture coming from Catholicism, because we have the Vatican City within the country, basically, right? So, of course, there is an influence. What am I talking about? I'm talking about what's in the chorus. In fact, in the chorus we have e non cambiare discorso se mi chiedi come sto, sei un maledetto elettroshock, e poi una botta di autostima, magari stavo meglio prima. Della tua pazza nostalgia, andate in pace e così sia. Mi vuoi più Suora o pornodiva? Questa non è una canzone estiva. So, and don't change the subject, don't change the topic when you ask how I feel. You're a damn electric shock. And then a sudden boost of self-esteem. Maybe I was better off before your crazy nostalgia. Go in peace and so be it. Do you want me more like a nun or a porn star? This is not a summer song. So, context. The relationship is not healthy because she's hinting at the fact that the guy asks her how is she feeling, how is she doing, and then while she's answering, he's changing the subject. Of course, this is to picture a situation of a person who doesn't really care about you, who asks just for asking, just for performance, just as a formality, not really caring about the answer. And then we have the description of what happens in several unhealthy relationships where the relationship feels like an electric shock, so like the rush of adrenaline caused by the problems and the conflict. And then these high and lows, here we have the high, that is this electroshock, this electric shock with the boost of self-esteem. But then she realized that probably she's better off without him, okay? That she doesn't really need to miss him. In fact, this nostalgia, this feeling of missing the other is described as crazy. And then we have another reference to Catholic Church, Catholic culture. Andate in pace e così sia. So in Italian, when you attend the Mass, the Mass is concluded formally by the sentence andate in pace, so go in peace. I don't know exactly how in English you conclude the Mass, but whatever the equivalent is, when you say to everyone participating, la messa è finita, andate in pace. The mass is ended, is finished, go in peace. Like, you can go now. And then right after we have the core of the song, which is related to the representation I was talking about before in the video. Mi vuoi più suora o pornodiva? Do you want me more like a nun or a porn star? These two archetypes opposed. And in fact, the point I wanted to make is that in the video she is dressed half as a nun and half as, I would say, a porn star, but like in lingerie, okay, in revealing clothes. Because the whole point here is not the porn star or the nun, is the contraposition of the two concepts I introduced at the beginning. This song is focusing on. And in fact, this is actually not a summer song, she says, because it is about a serious issue. So, as I was saying, both the lyrics, so generally the song, and the video, where she was dressed half as a nun and half with revealing clothes, started to create a lot of issues. She was even accused of like committing blasphemies, of insulting the Catholic religion, of being disrespectful. And a journalist, fun fact, a woman, even accused her of needing to like expose herself to wear revealing clothes because otherwise nobody would care about her. We already talked about this issue with Elodie, for example. We have many women singers who are being accused of needing to wear revealing clothes, otherwise people wouldn't listen to their music. I can tell you that is not the case for both Elodie and Annalisa. Like, they could be dressed like mummies and people would still listen to their songs. Really, they don't need to expose their body to receive attention. They are good enough. It is, however, part of the performance because it is part of the message they want to convey. So, like saying that Annalisa needs to show her body, otherwise she wouldn't have success, is like a little bit far-fetched. However, as I was saying, she explained a bit the whole point of the song in an interview to the Corriere della Sera. And she said, specifically concerning this core line, it was a choice to use these two words to highlight a topic and open debate and spark debate. If I had said chaste and provocative, so not using archetypes that we all know and well associate to certain imagery, but other words, other nouns, other adjective, the point wouldn't have been as powerful as it is like this. And in fact, she said, the effect would have been different. I took the concept to extremes with two definitions that, like many others, I saw attributed to myself. There is nothing offensive in saying nun or porn star. They are two extremes. Again, not by themselves, but for how they are perceived by the society. So, two archetypes of women. One of elegance, like one of chastity, because of course the nun is related to the concept of being chaste, cover yourself, not having sex. So the like the anti-erotic imagery. I'm not talking about what you see in porn, okay? I'm talking about the real nuns. And then we have the sex worker on the other hand. So, of what is depicted usually as something with no shame, okay? Something even shameful, a role, an archetype shameful. So that's why, like, you have these two opposite points. But from her point of view, both roles, both archetypes are quoted with respect. It's not that being a nun, una suora, is better than being a porn star, una pornodiva, okay? It is two archetype to convey two extreme opposites, but there is no negative judgment on one or the other, okay? They are used to convey an image and to extreme representation of how the women are depicted in the society, of course. And then we have in the post-chorus, back to talking to the guy, sei una iena, sei un problema, per questo finisce un amore che non c'era, forse c'era, e per questo finisce. You are a hyena, you are trouble, and that's why a love ends. One that wasn't there, or maybe it was, and that's why it ends. What does it mean? That this love story, this love, this relationship, maybe it's there, maybe it's not, a situationship, maybe just a facade, maybe someone who just want to get laid, who doesn't really care about their partner, for example. And that's why the relationship ends, because from the point of view of the narrator, so Annalisa, she cannot tell if the love story, if the relationship is authentic. And of course, if you cannot tell if the relationship is authentic or not, it is a problem. And thus, the relationship ends. And then we have the second verse. Sul cavallo con le ali sembra di volare. Ho la psicosi, le paranoie. Ora sai che sono ancora tutta naturale, ma che paura. Quando vado giù fino in fondo quel bicchiere che già a metà, abbiamo perso il filo. On the winged horse, it feels like flying. So here we have an image of the positive relationship, the way an infatuation, love feels. So like, oh my God, I feel like flying on a winged horse. Very magical, very fairy tale. However, the chorus says, I've got psychosis, paranoia. So like, what is the way I'm flying? It's not a positive one. So she jokingly depicts this vision, this hallucination as psychosis or paranoia. Okay. In Italian, literally, le paranoie, it's plural because you have la paranoia, le paranoie. Also colloquially abbreviated as le pare. Farsi le pare is like to give yourself paranoia. Okay. So we have this image that usually it is used to describe the fairy tale love, opposed to actually being an hallucination, so being the effect of psychosis, paranoia, of being in a stressful relationship, so a relationship which is not positive, which is not healthy. And then she says, ora sai che sono ancora tutta naturale. Ma che paura! Now you know I'm still all natural. So scary. What does it mean? So, when we say essere tutta naturale, ok? Mainly feminine, it is opposite to essere rifatta, literally to be remade, ok? This is a reference to the fact that she has not undergone plastic surgery because in Italy we have in this song we have several double standards and several incoherent demands imposed on women by the society. For example, the fact that you need to have a perfect body. However, if you undergo plastic surgery to match the unrealistic standards of the society of how you should look like as a woman, it is frowned upon because you have to be perfect. However, if you undergo plastic surgery, no, that is cheating. That's not correct. So, same thing. The society wants you as a nun in public and as a porn star in private, but you have to find a very a very specific balance because yes, in private you have to be erotic, in public not, but not with everybody, but enough. So it is all these images are impossible balances imposed on women so that they will never feel comfortable with themselves. It is a game that we cannot win, okay? Because we have to be perfect, but if we undergo plastic surgery, we are cheating, we are bad, so we have to be perfect but natural. So, for example, yes, go to the gym, but also be thin, not too muscular. We have to be erotic, but not enough, only with the right people, but who are the right people? Because then if we go with not enough people, we are too rigid, too chaste. But if we are too erotic with too many people, then we are like prostitutes. So it is a game that cannot be won. It is a rigged game. This is the whole point of the song. You cannot win this game because the game is rigged. There is no way for you to win the game. And then she said, in fact, after she says, now you know I'm still all natural, so I didn't undergo plastic surgery. She says, che paura, imagine how scary to find out that someone might have undergone plastic surgery, ooh, the heebie-jeebies. Of course, she's sarcastic in this case. When I go down, draining that glass that's already half empty, so drinking as a form, as a representation, as an image of stressful situation, of problematic situation, and again, we've lost the thread, we've lost the focus, we are lost, we are confused, so of course there is a problem in the relationship. Then we have again pre-chorus, chorus, and post-chorus, but they are exactly the same. And then we have the bridge. The bridge repeats two lines we already saw, so the start of the song, quando Venere è in Leone non si può parlare, when Venus is in Leo, talking is not an option. And then e per questo finisce, which is the end of the section, because we have the first line of the verse and the last line of the post-chorus. So we have this bridge putting all together the start and the end. So quando Venere in Leone non si può parlare e per questo finisce. When Venus is in Leo, talking is not an option, and that's why it ends what? The relationship, the love story, whatever you want. Then we have a variation of the chorus, not because the lines are changing, but because it is cut. And in fact, we have the second part of the chorus that we saw so far. Per quella pazza nostalgia, andate in pace così sia, mi vuoi più suora o pornodiva, questa non è una canzone estiva. Due to the crazy, here it changes a bit because before it was di quella pazza nostalgia, I don't remember what was it, della tua pazza nostalgia. Now it is per quella pazza nostalgia, because of course the chorus is only the bottom half, so due to that crazy nostalgia, go in peace, you, like you all collective, and so be it. Do you want me more like a nun or a porn star? This isn't a summer song. And then the song ends with a variation of the post-chorus. We have, like before, sei una iena, sei un problema, e per questo finisce un amore che non c'era, forse c'era. So you are a hyena, you are trouble, and that's why a love ends. One that wasn't there, or maybe it was, and then it changes a bit, because we have e per questo finisce with the chorus singing Alleluia, e per questo finisce un amore, and again Alleluia, and that's why it ends Alleluia, and that's why a love ends Alleluia, che non c'era, forse c'era, e per questo finisce. One that wasn't there, or maybe it was, and that's why it ends. So, this was the lyrics of Canzone Estiva by Annalisa, and the tea was on the fact that she was heavily accused of being of promoting blasphemies, okay? Because, oh my god, how do you dare quoting the Catholic Church? How do you dare quoting sentences that are normally pronounced during masses in the same song where you quote and mention and hint at erotic situation, and also the fact that in the video she is dressed half as a nun and half as like in provocative clothes, in revealing clothes. This is shameful, shame on you. And like this is exactly the point. The moment she got so harshly accused and insulted proves exactly her point. That it doesn't matter what you do, you as a woman in nowadays society are always going to be criticized because the game is rigged and you cannot win. So this was the meaning and analysis of Canzone Estiva by Annalisa. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know in the comments what you think of this song, and let me know if you have other summer song or generally other songs also by Annalisa you would like me to analyze. That said, grazie everyone for watching and arrivederci.